What is happening, my good people? Today I bring you a battle. I bet you didn't see that one coming. But not just any battle. For a good start of 2013, I've got a roulette battle for you against that Scottish guy that used to have Altoria on his head and now he has something more resembling Cottony. The one and only NBZ. Since it's a roulette battle, there is no point to talk about teams since we picked them at random. So let's get straight into it. I lead off with
Dr. Robotnik,
also known as
Pingers,
thinking that it can deal with his Registeel quite effectively, and unlike Chandelure, it doesn't really mind getting paralyzed since this one doesn't actually have speed boost. That is all irrelevant though, because I played only one roulette battle before, and I didn't know that the first Pokemon picked by opponent has to be the lead, so we both agreed to lead with something else, and then switch out to our actual roulette leads on the first turn. So basically the actual battle begins now. I lead off with Sharpedo, and because I'm pretty sure that his Mantike is just specially defensive wall, I don't think he can do anything to me, hence I just go for a safe crunch on his switch to Registeel. Knowing that he will most likely just set up his Stealth Rock, I switch to Chandelure to threaten him immediately, and then, knowing that the best thing he has to sponge a Fire Blast is a Mantike, I make a double switch to Rampardos, which puts me at much better position in that matchup. Then I was really close going for an Earthquake, but knowing how frail Rampardos is, even a Scald from a Mantike is not something that I would like to take, so I decide to go for a safe Stone Edge instead, but he doesn't make over predictions and switches to Cobalion to take it. Now I decide to stay in, predicting him to predict my switch to Chandelure, and either going for a Stone Edge or setting up a Swords Dance, but it turns out that his Cobalion is Choice Banded, he goes straight for an Iron Hand and easily takes me out in one hit. Right there I know that if I go to Chandelure, he will just switch back to his Mantike and I will take unnecessary Stealth Rock damage, so I decide to go back to Sharpedo instead. He switches back to Registeel on my obvious Protect, and at this point I just want to do some solid damage to him with a Hydro Pump, because this is the very same mixed attacker Sharpedo you have seen not so long ago, and this Registeel is pretty much the only thing that can reliably sponge my Curem's Outrage. So he Thunder Waves me and then proceeds to wear me down with a Seismic Toss. Meanwhile I try doing that with a Hydro Pumps, none of which misses surprisingly. It turns out that just after 2 speed boosts I outspeed him anyway, but I get fully paralyzed and he takes me out with a Seismic Toss. Now that is significant, because after one more Hydro Pump, Earth Power from my Curem will be enough to finish him off, but unfortunately from this range that is not the case, he is able to do a solid chunk with an Iron Head and bring me down low enough on HP that I can leave only one more Stealth Rock switching. Anyway, now he goes to Landorus and I decide to switch to Combusken pretty much as a death fodder, but he sets up a substitute on my switch, so things don't look too good for me right now. Fortunately Z logic comes into play right there, and that logic is Combusken looks like a part flying type, so Earthquake will not affect it. That is why he goes for a Stone Edge instead, which luckily misses, allowing me to break his substitute with a Fire Blast, and have a laugh at his reaction when he realized that he could just go for an Earthquake. But if you watch the stream, or his side of this battle, you already know that the best is yet to come. So because this Combusken doesn't have speed boost, he just takes me out with an Earthquake on the following turn. But the fact that he is not behind the substitute, and that his Registeel is out of the way, allows me to go back to Curem and do some major damage with an Outrage. So he decides to death fodder his Mantike, which to everyone's surprise leaves it like an absolute beast with 6 HP, so that few attack EVs I put into special attack actually come into play right there. Of course it doesn't make any difference on the battle, because I just finish him off with another one, but the sheer fact of Mantike taking one of the most powerful unboosted outrages in the entire game. Wow. Just wow. Anyway, back to the battle. He goes back to Cobalion and revenge kills me with a close combat, but now that his Mantike is no longer around, it's time for some tortures to his team. So he decides to death fodder his Chinchino, and then brings his Landorus for a revenge kill, not knowing that I am Choice Scarfed. So it looks like if only I don't miss a Fire Blast, I've got this in the bag. But looks is a key word, because his Landorus decides that if Mantike can take Curem's Outrage, he can take a Fire Blast. So he leaves it with 5 HP and takes me out with an Earthquake. So I'm down to my Lucario, and I revenge kill his Marshmallow guy with a Vacuum Wave. Now though in comes Roserade, and he knows that the best thing he can do is put me to sleep, switch to Cobalion and try taking me out. So it really comes down to whether I wake up on the second turn or not. But partially because I'm an idiot, and partially because I wasn't really paying attention to the battle, I have gone for another Dark Pulse right there, only to realize that it's not a Roserade on the other side of the field, so that right there was the final nail to my own coffin. He takes me out of a close combat, and that is the game. Good game, Zed. with some stupidity and smidgens here and there, but overall lots of fun and laugh, which I think roulette battles are all about. I hope you guys enjoyed, in which case likes or comments are always appreciated, and I see you all next time.